Welcome to Chronic Combat Conversations, a live look at our best bets, picks, and predictions for every UFC event. With your host, TB Scouting MMA, and
the Guru back again for UFC 306 Noche Riyadh season. UFC, we're all over the fucking place, baby. We're at the Noche. Independence Day, Mexico, arriba! Let's fucking go! We've got Dan fucking Levy in the house. Best fight picks. Make sure you're following. Unbelievable. We got Suga Sean O'Malley defending his bantamweight belt against Merab Dvalishvili, and you've got the trilogy. Alexa Grasso defending her flyweight title against Valentina Shevchenko. 10 fights from the UFC sphere, a one-and-done $20 million expenditure. I cannot wait to see what the UFC's got cooking for us. But before we can get into it, he's bald, he's beautiful, and he wins bets. Dan Levy, welcome back, my friend. How are you?
Oh, man, I'm doing amazing. Even better here with y'all. It's Thursday night tomorrow. Tonight, actually, we got a press conference to look forward to. And what's interesting, gentlemen, is that it's at 10 o'clock Eastern, which means that these guys are pretty close to, that's the closest you've seen these guys talk on the mics before they weigh in. So we're about to see, and the whole card is going to be there. So we're going to see who's having a good weight cut and who isn't.
Oh, I love it. I love it. This is exciting. Just can't wait to see it. What a interesting experience and a once in a lifetime, according to Dana White, at least, that will be here at the Sphere. But man, it's going to be a great time. Thank you guys so much for joining us live every Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern time, whether it's standard, whether it's daylight, we'll be there. We'll be square, or hopefully sharp. That's the hope, right? So, but we got the best bets, the best guests, always free picks. Thank you guys so much for joining. But if you haven't already, please hit the like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and make sure you check out Best Fight Picks, Dan Levy out there on the X Sphere, and Half the Battle podcast. Absolutely awesome stuff. So without further ado, make sure you guys let us know who you got as your best bets. Let us know your thoughts on each fight as we go. And let's, as a certain podcast might say, right? Let's get down to business. So
let's do it.
Let's go, man. We got Suga Sean O'Malley, the Guru, living on for Suga Show, versus the Machine, Merab Dvalishvili. Man, this is such a great matchup. Tons of hype. Where's the red jacket, Merab? Where's it at? He should walk out wearing the red jacket, is my thought.
That would be fucking awesome.
I'm just saying, right? I think it would be pretty funny. But minus 135 on the Suga Show, plus 114 on the Machine. Man, this is a tough fight. I think overall both guys have distinct advantages in.
Real quick.
Yes.
Is there a reason that Merab pulled out and Sean Brady's fighting?
Oh my God!
Oh, what the fuck is that?
Again.
What is that?
Strikes again. Wow, this is crazy. This could be a crazy one. Wow.
Next, you're going to tell me about Merab's Olympic wrestling.
That's right, man. So let's put it this way. TB had a little bit of a function he had to host.
It's still a grappler. I mean,
grappler, he showed he's got 5-round cardio. But yeah, oh man. So it's Merab the Machine, not Sean the Young Bull Brady. So here we are, having a great time as always. So yeah, Pink Floyd, I do agree, man. Thank you so much. Thank you guys. Best chat in the game. Best bets, best guest, best chat, best host. Best jokes, best bets. Oh my goodness, we're gonna end the wrong picture. So
okay, shout out to going, man. That was getting me pumped.
Oh man, this is such a good time. I love it. This is what I come here for. And I come here to tell you guys I'm so sorry that we'll be holding a CLV trophy on the show, but we did jump in a little bit on the Suga Show side, a little bit of plus money. I think realistically, it's Suga kind of picking him off, being on the front foot as Merab is at, and any moment he's at distance. But when Merab tries to put on the pressure, we've seen Suga have success off the back foot, using some counters, knees, uppercuts, plenty of different tools, even a front choke series that I know his takedown defense isn't the best, but his grappling is pretty damn solid. So on the Merab side, pace, pressure, takedown after takedown after takedown after takedown. So each guy's got their distinct path to victory. I put my pick down on the Suga side a little bit earlier, and I was happy enough to get plus money, but I can't fault anyone taking plus money on the Merab side as well. So, man, this fight is just going to be incredible. And I think that the true winner is us, the fans. So, yeah, this is going to be a great one.
If you are what you say you are, a superstar, then have no fear. The Sugar Show is here. Come on, let's go. Sugar Sean O'Malley is gonna get it done. I do. I mean, I'm all on the hype train. I just think that this is he's just the next level, right? He's a cerebral fighter. It's not just cotton candy hair, right? This guy is legit. He's an elite MMA striker, and I mean elite, 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 elite accuracy, elite precision, elite power, elite speed. I mean, these are real attributes and real things. The dude is solid. Merab has elite cardio and elite wrestling. But you know what? I got to be honest, man. 11 takedowns versus Peter Yan, 7 minutes of control. It's a 25-minute fight. Okay, you're getting 11 takedowns. What does that mean? It means they're getting up 11 times. You know what I'm saying? He has great takedowns, but he doesn't always hold people down. I think Sugar Sean's takedown defense is underrated. I know his jiu-jitsu is underrated. He's going to have front chokes, kicks up the middle, knees, uppercuts, a lot of different things to threaten Merab and keep him and punish him for shooting shots. These are things that Henry Cejudo, by the way, doesn't have. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I really like Sugar here. I just don't see him just getting wrestled for 25 minutes. I think the damage eventually accumulates on Merab. You've seen Merab literally just rock round one last fight versus Henry Cejudo. So we did get Sean O'Malley at plus money. Wouldn't exactly call us CLV Kings. I mean, the line opened like plus 180 or whatever. We got like plus 105. So we're happy to touch plus money there, but it's a damn close fight. I don't hate anybody on Merab, but again, I just feel like where's the damage going to come from? I mean, he just has to completely maul him, Peter Yan style, I suppose, and I just don't necessarily see that performance coming. But I've been wrong before. Dan Levy, tell me how I'm wrong.
I mean, I don't know if you're right or if you're wrong, but I thought that at least one of y'all was gonna be on Merab here, man. I'm getting worried. We all like Sean, man. Shit, that can't be a good sign, is it?
Or it could be the moment of a lifetime.
Arriba!
But listen, because on one hand, I think they're both, freaks of nature. Merab being able to attempt almost 50 takedowns against Peter, and Sean being able to land, over 230 significant strikes and 2 separate UFC fights. It's just like these are cardio machines in their own realm. So I don't think that O'Malley is KO or bust. I mean, and like you were saying that he can go forward, he can also strike going backwards, strike laterally. Like he's probably one of the best strikers in the sport. The way he switches stances is extremely fluid. And I really think that if he was such a liability on the ground, Aljamain Sterling would have exposed that. And I don't give a fuck about, oh, he was pressured into taking the fight or this or that, or you wanted to put on a show. Yeah, that first round sucked, by the way, for those that don't remember. So this whole putting on a show thing, if staring at your opponent is putting on a show, like I'd rather watch you hump someone's leg, So even though Aljo didn't attempt 100 takedowns like Merab's going to attempt, he still attempted 4 takedowns. And listen, O'Malley apparently had a rib injury, wasn't able to grapple that whole camp, and still stuffed the takedowns. And it seems like this guy rises to the occasion. He fights well under the brightest of lights, and he's got that aura about him. So, obviously, look, you gotta come to terms with if Merab is able to close that distance, get this fight against the cage for prolonged periods of time, you can't act like you're not going to be sweating. You know what I'm saying? And if he starts taking them down over and over, even though I agree with you that O'Malley will get back up, like I think the whole O'Malley has gas tank issues or has a suspect ground game, I think that's all fake news. Like if he had suspect cardio, he would not have the output he has. And when I hear people compare this fight to Leon and Bilal, I just have to disagree because O'Malley fights at like 3 times the pace that Leon fights at. And I also think Bilal is like an infinitely better fighter than Merab, just the fight IQ. Merab, he's a machine. He's relentless. He's almost like a robot, but he ain't exactly the brightest. So yeah, there's obviously many ways this fight can go, but I think that, like you were saying, listen, Marlon Moraes is a very dangerous guy, so we don't have to discredit Merab for getting, hurt early there. But what we got to mention is that Marlon Moraes isn't known for like 5-round cardio. So like if Marlon Moraes gets you hurt early, he has to finish you right then and there, or he doesn't have a chance the rest of the fight. Whereas like O'Malley can rock you early. He's not going to rush the finish, and he's going to really take his time. So the way that Merab got rocked against Cejudo in that first round, against Marlon, like we mentioned, and even against Casey Kenny, who guys that are kind of known more for the wrestling than, volume/power, which is what O'Malley brings to the table. So, man, I think I'm going O'Malley here by knockout or decision. I don't think he's going to tap him out. I think that Merab would rather die than tap.
Cool. Go to sleep. What the Ricky Stone fight? Go to sleep.
He's gone to sleep before.
Yeah, he has.
It's very true.
I love it. It's a really exciting fight. I just think, like you said, it's the star power. There's just this aura. He performs best under the bright lights. Literally what you said. Exactly. And I think he comes out to play. This is his time, and he knows it. He said he's talking like he's on the cusp of McGregor status, and of course he's not, because McGregor, after boxing Floyd Mayweather, has become an international name. But I mean, Suga Sean is becoming, the real deal. Household name for sure.
Here's to hoping the rest of the card goes better, because, if Sean Brady shows up, Sean O'Malley is definitely a fight.
Hey, pull up Hunter's comment when we get to the Raul Rosas fight.
Yes, for sure. We will definitely be getting a nice one. So here we go. We're moving on. We got La Loba, Alexa Grasso versus Valentina Bullet Shevchenko. The trilogy. It's I don't know, depending how you see it, someone won and someone lost, and they both got a draw on their record. So here we go. Coming into the third matchup, minus 135 on the Grasso side, plus 114 on the Shevchenko side. Ultimately, you have to feel like while Shevchenko had extended periods of success, we've also seen Grasso weather the storm and show her own resilience. So very curious here. Guru, what are you seeing in this fight?
What a crazy second fight that was. Rewatching it, first 3 rounds, like zero controversy at all, completely clear. It's 2-1 Shevchenko going into 4. Like, I really don't think anybody can debate that. It's just, how do you see round?
What'd you just say? What'd you just say? I missed what you just said.
It's like a little bit choppy at this stage.
You said, what can't we debate?
I said that
what you said.
Can you hear me now?
Good.
Yeah. What did you say we can't debate?
I don't think that we can debate going into round 4. It's 2-1 Shevchenko in the second.
Yeah. I think that was understood.
I think that
right?
It's like clear. Like there was no controversy
in the first fight, right? Second fight.
Second.
Or
Second
both
fight.
Fights, actually.
Both fights, yeah.
Probably both fights, to be quite honest.
Yeah, both fights.
But second fight for sure. That 4th round is the really dicey one. And then the 5th round, where they called it 10-8. I don't really think it's a 10-8, but damn, is it close to one, the way that she's Grasso's hitting her with the ground and pound. I just feel like we've already seen 2 iterations of this fight. It's a very, very close fight. And the time off another year just doesn't help Valentina Shevchenko. It may be a square handicap for me, but at 36 and now 37, right? Grasso kind of now enters her prime, 30 to 31. There's just nothing that benefits Shevchenko. If you're betting on Shevchenko, you're hoping that she's the best. She's as good as she's been. Whereas Grasso, you can expect working with an amazing coach like Diego Lopez is going to continue to improve and get better. Really, really tough fight again. Shevchenko, look for her to get some wrestling going, because I would have expected Grasso to shore up some of her takedown defense for the second fight, and she kind of didn't. So I'm hoping she spent the last year continuing to work on that. But we took Alexa Grasso at Pick'em because I was like, well, again, I feel like this fight's maybe close to Pick'em, but I lean high, like more like minus 130, minus 140 Grasso because of the age. That's really about it. Otherwise, it's a damn close fight and it's a tough matchup. But what do you guys think?
Dan, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's two ways to look at it. There's the, historical way, which is that history says that Alexa's on her way up and that Valentina is most likely not going to get her belt back. But then there's the market point of view, which is that they've fought 3 times, and I think the first time you had to lay like minus 800 on Valentina. The next time, what was it? -2? I don't remember what it was the second time, but it was still minus. It was still minus something.
Yeah, we got. I think it was Alexa like plus 140 or plus 160.
Like now, like for the first time in a long, long time, you're getting Valentina at dog odds in a fight. So I can see why a lot of people would be interested. I mean, the first 2 fights were close. This time you're getting her at the best price she's been in years. So, it makes sense. But on the other hand, like I said, from the history side of things, long reigning champions, when they lose their belts, they don't often come back and win their belts. And although we've seen that Valentina does have some, upside in terms of grappling control, we've seen that Grasso has the more finishing upside, whether it was finishing the first fight. Did y'all see like Valentina's face where it was like half red and like all that? Or the second fight where she hit her with a very nice straight punch that made Valentina do like a backward somersault. So you give them each a year to come back and make adjustments. And I just haven't really seen that evolution from Valentina. Like Valentina has always been at such a high level, whereas Alexa was slowly making her way up the ranks, catching up. And now that she's already caught up, now we're the levels. Now that we're talking about a year later, 36 years old, now could be the time where Valentina is just a step behind Alexa. So I'm not crazy about the price for the market reasons I mentioned. I mean, if I could have bet her at like plus 450 or whatever the first time, and then plus, what was it? Plus 150 the second time. Now I got to lay chalk. Obviously, you don't like that, but there is a reason behind it, and it's history tends to repeat itself. So I'm gonna go Alexa here.
Yeah, I'll round out the trio once again. I know you guys came for some discourse.
This is either going to be really good or really bad.
Yeah, there's only 2 ways to go here. Hey, even if we get a 50-50 split, pretty damn close to plus money on both of them, I'd say. So we're hoping not to go over 2, but listen, I'm feeling good about it. I think there's reasons promotionally for, each of these champions to keep their belt here. So even if this fight does go the distance and we're looking kind of like a damage versus control type of variable in both fights, it would be leaning in the Grasso and Suga show direction, I'd imagine. So let's see how the judges are scoring it, but hopefully we don't have to go there. That's my hope. But Grasso, by any which way that she can do it, I'm hoping. So took the money line. Guru got a little bit of a better price, but I had a little Hard Rock booster, so I got close. So here we go. We've got Brian T. City Ortega versus Go Diego Lopez. You got to dream, believe, and make it happen. That's the thing here. So we've got amazing chest tattoo that is like some inspirational quote versus no chest tattoo. So how does that factor into your handicapping? Mr. Best Fight Picks, Dan Levy. What do you got here in this matchup?
Yeah, this is actually a very tough one for me to call. Reason being is that I'm very sold on Diego Lopez being an exciting fighter. I think that he's got big balls, accepting fights on short notice consistently. He's got unbelievable no-gi jiu-jitsu. He can crack as well. He's experienced. So there's a lot to like about Diego Lopez. But the way that he's being regarded is as if this guy is like, a top 3 guy and threat to the title. And of that, I'm not convinced at all. Reason being is, as a fan, I love the early finishes and guys that go for it, but every single time we've seen Diego Lopez in a third round inside the octagon against Brito on Contender Series, against Evloev, and most recently against Dan Ige, who took the fight on 4-hour notice. Lopez has lost the third round in all of those fights. And Brian Ortega is one of the most legendary third-round finishers in the sport. In his early UFC career, he finished Thiago Tavares in the third round, which was a huge deal. And then he finished Moicano. He got Moicano to shoot a sloppy shot on him, and then he guillotined a high-level black belt in Moicano. And most recently, this year, you saw that Yair fight? He overcame some serious adversity and finished him in the third round. And, man, that arm triangle he had on Yair was absolutely disgusting. So there's that dynamic, but then there's also that Brian Ortega has been getting hit too much for a very long time. And he's insanely durable. Look at the Max fight, look at the Volk fight. But the Yair fight was the first time where, man, it was pretty close to him getting knocked out in that first round. And as you enter the twilight of your career, how often can you depend on taking that ass whooping up front and then being able to have that comeback? But again, what makes it interesting, gentlemen, is that Diego isn't known, Diego blows his load in a lot of fights. So like if Brian can weather a storm here, that third round can be super interesting. So the way I see this fight is I think Diego's going to get the better of that first round. Kind of, Brian likes to take his time to kind of ease into the fight. First half of the second round, Diego's going to, start kind of getting tired towards the latter part of the second round. I think it's going to be like, oh shit, Ortega's getting some momentum. And I think third round, Ortega's going to have a huge round, whether it's a 10-8, whether it's a near finish, a finish, something. I think it's going to be one of those controversial split decisions where it's like did Diego do enough early? Like, was it a 10-8 or not? Like all that. So I'm going to go Diego Lopez via controversial split decision where he probably gets his arm raised, but people realize like, yo, this top 5 talk, like, relax, he's like, let's keep it with exciting, let's keep it with big balls. But when you talk about top 5, like when I'm scouting a person that I consider to be a future top 5 guy, I like to consider how would they do in 5-round fights. Like this guy was like barely getting by 5-round fights with jobbers on the regionals. He's lost every single third round inside the octagon. I'm just not sold on the top 5 talk. So I think he might be catching Brian at the right time to kind of edge pie this one, but I don't know. Let's look at weigh-ins tomorrow and let's take it from there. Cause the price, even though I kind of lean towards Diego, like, I don't know.
Dang, it is Brian Low T City. I like that.
Low T according to who though? Like,
I don't know.
Did you see the size of the cup this guy wears?
Maybe he's overcompensating. You never know.
He does like to drive truck.
I mean, you seen his girl, bro? I don't think so.
That's true. Fair enough.
Yeah. Listen, Brian T City, good looking guy. I mean, this is a battle of some of the best hair in the UFC.
This is like Guru Man Bun versus TB emo haircut in high school.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, it happens. It's funny, Dan. I kind of have to give you pushback in part of the breakdown, but it's funny. I think we kind of end up in the same result anyway. I kind of think that it's Diego Lopez by decision. I understand that.
Wait, hold on. Yeah, you're doing the robot. Let's restart our internet, refresh, because I want to hear what you have to say, especially if you're giving me pushback.
Yeah, you have to try something here.
There's really not much I can do.
Yes, there is.
Am I okay now?
Hit the refresh.
Am I good?
Yeah, for now, you're good.
That's better. Go ahead.
Okay.
All right. Let's hear it.
So
What's
the
pushback
I have to give. So it's part of the breakdown, but I said it's funny because we end up in the same position. I do think that it's Diego Lopez by decision. And some of the pushback I have to give is just the round 3 cardio concerns for Diego Lopez. With that, right, the Evloev fight, right, we'll talk about that one first. Short notice. Danny Ige, he cut weight twice and then goes up 20 pounds and is fighting 20 pounds heavier than he's ever fought before, exhausted. Can you imagine the mental exhaustion? Forget all the physical cutting weight and all that bullshit. The mental exhaustion. And he still took the fight and then won. And of course, Dan Ige fucking insane and has unbelievable cardio and is always in fight shape. So I don't really take too much from that. I'll also tell you, I hate rebookings. I always hate when a fight is like rebooked again. It just feels kind of sketchy in general. The UFC obviously wants this matchup and this specific matchup. Where is Brian T. City Ortega in his career right now? I picked him against Yair Rodriguez, but that's because I felt right. Yair Rodriguez has no heart and has no takedown defense. And that's exactly what happened. I don't necessarily see those things in Diego Lopez at all. The dude has nothing but heart and nothing but will. And it's going to be tough, man. It's going to be tough. I do love that historic route you go with Brian T. City Ortega round 3. I mean, he's produced some of the best moments. I mean, in modern UFC with some of that shit. Brian Ortega plus 1,500 round 3. I never mind a little couch cushion into that. But I'm going to go with Diego Lopez, and I'm just going to go with fight goes the distance in general at plus 100. I'm going to take the plus money and run. I'm going to clench my butt cheeks for 15 minutes, and I'm just going to hope for the best fucking fight we can see. And you know what? If I lose on a finish in this fight, I still win, didn't I?
Yeah, and that's where I'm on. I feel like if you're betting the Diego side, it's probably best value-wise and how you're going to feel about it if it happens in round 1, round 2. And given the outside the octagon circumstances and wondering where it was, then yeah, I mean, ultimately we'll see how it goes here. But for Lopez, I think he had it really tough in his last fight here. The whole Ige switch up, the fact that he was ready all the way cut down to 145, then had to make 155, then has to reweigh in again when Dan Ige shows up. And mind you, Dan Ige was preparing for a main event matchup 2 weeks following. So it's not like he was truly okay, I apologize.
Against Chepe Mariscal.
Yeah, I feel like he actually,
hey,
that would have been interesting. I'd like a rebooking there. So, but with Ige in that spot, I feel like 1, his durability, 2, the fact that he didn't have to cut all the way down. And yeah, I mean, it still was extremely sketchy for him for the first 8.5, 9 minutes of that fight. You see Lopez, I mean, I can't even imagine the emotional dump that week of having all these last second changeups and just saying yes to everything. And listen, I know under the other circumstances, we've seen this guy slow down as the fights go on, everything like that. But
I mean, TB, but think about it. Look at this guy's record. We're not talking about a kid who's 5-0. We're talking about a guy who's 25-6. His style has been established. This guy's been fighting for many, many years.
Talk about his improvements as a coach, TV. Talk
about
his improvements.
Yes. So I would say since he started becoming a bit more of a head coach and cornerman, I think at least we've seen a little bit more of an improvement in his nutrition and body composition. Maybe there's some other stuff behind that. But
you mean his physique got better when USADA left? Is that what you mean?
Well, no, a portion of that, even before that, I think when he started, I really think he took a step up when he started becoming a bit of a head coach from at least the way that he's approaching these fights from a tactical setup. I think his boxing is at least a little bit improved. Mosvar, tough fight, man. Tough fight. But I think he does his best to create chaos there and on super short notice. On this one, I mean, he's been preparing for this guy. I think Ortega, there's nothing he's fixed about his defense. So if he's eating the full offensive potential of Diego Lopez, I have a feeling it ends round 1, round 2 in Lopez's favor. And if this fight goes deep, yeah, I'm getting absolutely scared. I'm probably looking to run to see what the live number is on Ortega if he survives. Does he still have that level of durability? Well, we're gonna find out.
Boo.
What?
Boo, you sir. Boo.
Why?
Because you're pussing out. You're saying he's just live by finish, and then if it's getting late, you're on Ortega.
I said my pick was Lopez, and if I was betting him, which I'm not, it's round 1, round 2. Well, I mean, we're
Listen,
being
not
more
for
selfish
nothing.
here. You don't need to
Not
take
for
every
nothing.
fight. You don't
Not
need
for
to take
nothing. These
Lopez at
books,
minus
the
192.
books have no idea how they're going to get it done. I mean, the most, the highest price, sorry, the lowest price prop would be Diego Lopez
Ooh,
by decision at plus 230.
ooh. Your audio's jacked, and you're bringing up stuff that the books are pricing stuff at. So you're not even confident in what happens here. I agree. Fair enough.
All right, next fight, boys.
All right, we're moving on. We got the Golden Boy Daniel Zellhuber versus El Gringo Esteban Ribovic. Minus 230 on the Zellhuber side, plus 190 for the Gringo. Man, we got Mexico versus Argentina. Once again, this is basically the same exact anthropomorphic setup here on the Zellhuber side as he had in his last matchup versus Prado. Like same height advantage, same reach advantages, and they're from the same country. That's about where the comparisons end because I think Ribovic is a bit better of a striker. He has a lot more kicks, and I think his defense is a bit better. But overall, I think that Zellhuber, he probably is going to be able to use his length, his ability to fight off the back foot, stick and move. And yeah, things can get a bit sketchy in the pocket at times for him, but I trust his chin. I think he's got the durability. And I think ultimately my favorite part is that I think this fight goes the distance no matter what. So I think I'm going to pick Zellhuber as my pick, but you can get about minus 150 or so on the fight going the distance. And I think that that's probably a better idea because I could see a close decision going the way of Ribovic, especially if it comes to damage. I mean, if Trey Ogden's winning a striking battle and making you low output and the big stage, I mean, we've seen Zellhuber make improvements. We've seen him have good fights. And I think he comes away with the decision, but I like the fight goes the distance from a betting perspective.
I'm not laying chalk on this fight to go the distance. You're fucking insane. You're nuts. I mean, I line it that way, but again, all Zellhuber has to do is come out like a house on fire, a man on a mission, and Esteban has zero defense and regard for his safety, and he just has to go down. It really won't take that much. I mean, Zellhuber by KO plus 330. I mean, the dude, I get it. Like he's kind of a volume merchant, but at the same time, it's like, dude's huge.
What's a volume merchant?
He's selling that volume, yo.
Like, so you mean he's a winner?
Yes, I like it.
Okay.
I'm not saying it in a bad way. I guess it could sound negative, but I mean, he's had a lot of decisions, so I guess that's maybe it could be the dig on him. Where again, he's minus 150, fight goes the distance. Like nobody's necessarily right plus 130 to win by decision. That's kind of where they're thinking. I'm thinking if you're going to find value in this fight, I think you're hoping Zellhuber to rise to the occasion and actually prove that he is a golden boy and not a golden shitbag like he was versus Trey Ogden. How about that? You like that one?
Honestly, I think the Trey Ogden fight is completely irrelevant for two reasons.
This is debut and grappling.
We'll talk about the debut part, but second part is Trey Ogden and Esteban Ribovic fight nothing alike. Trey Ogden fights super safe. Ribovic makes you fight. Ribovic, he's Argentinian, bro. Like he comes to fight for real. So, and also like, sometimes very bright prospects shit the bed in their debuts. I mean, Zellhuber against Ogden, that wasn't even about, oh man, Ogden looks like a future top 15 guy. That was just, oh yeah, a debut stunt. I mean, look at Tyler Santos against Mara Romero Barella. And then a couple years later, she arguably beats Valentina Shevchenko. Look at, Jacqueline Amarine's been doing her thing lately. She lost her debut. So I'm just saying, I just thought that was an uncharacteristic performance by Zellhuber. And I think that all his other fights really tell who this man is. And that is a bright prospect. And that's someone with an 8-inch reach advantage in this fight. But it's also someone that gets hurt early on in fights, but he needs to find his range. Kind of like we're going to talk about Ignacio later on. Some of these guys got to get hit early to kind of find their range and kind of get woken up a bit. And once they do that, Zellhuber's dangerous, man. Zellhuber's a showstopper. But the thing about it is Ribovic is ultra durable, and Ribovic, like I said, he's Argentinian. That means he's super stubborn. That means that you're not going to put this guy away unless it's like the perfect shot or something like that, right? So basically the way I see this fight going is I see a blood and guts war, these two standing and banging either until one man falls or until they go out there for 3 rounds and get a fight of the night. I'll lean Zellhuber to keep it behind the end of his jab, use that reach advantage. It's a bigger cage, a lot more circling, but like Ribovics is a bad boy, dude. And like when you get these two young prospects early on in their careers, when they're both coming up and they're both full of confidence, like these are the kind of fights the fans love to see. So definitely tune into this fight.
I agree with Sean in the chat saying if Rebix gets in the inside, Daniel might be in trouble.
I agree. I agree with that too. Reason 100%. Being is that like if you want to beat someone with an 8-inch reach advantage, you got to jam them inside. You got to pin them up against the cage. You got a dirty box, and Ribovics has those capabilities. So yeah, he definitely has a chance. Like this is going to be a grown man fight where they draw a line in the sand and they go out there and like if the mics are right inside the sphere, you're going to hear some heavy cracks in this fight.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 100%. And honestly, you saw in the Prado fight that he was able to get inside and have a little bit of success. It's just that it was super damaging, and by the time Zellhuber continued to kick and use his volume, and by the time the second round started, he really started to fucking hurt him.
It was a beautiful jab that opened up the cut on the eye, and that was the beginning of the end for Prado about a minute into round 2. And
exactly,
I think Zellhuber using his reach, those are the tools he's going to need. But man, I think, like Dan said, this is going to be a great fight. And while it might be sketchy looking at a chalky fight goes, if that's not the way I'm leaning, I think that's what's happening here. So ultimately, we've got our next fight. It's Lazy Boy Ronaldo Rodriguez versus the Jamaican sensation, O'Day Osborne. Boy, oh boy, do we have a matchup here. Talk about paths to victory. I think this is another one of those ones where, listen, if this fight's playing out from distance for 15, you're probably feeling a little bit better about the O'Day Osborne side. But if this fight gets to wrestling, and if I could have the controller on UFC 5 or whatever for Ronaldo Rodriguez, man, we are spamming takedowns. Because ultimately, I feel like I really trust that O'Day does not have the wrestling defense. He's also doesn't really have the IQ at managing range and distance. So even though he's got a big reach advantage, we've seen him use a flying knee to allow Tyson Nam to close distance and throw the hammer. We've seen him not manage his distance and get a flying knee landed by the shorter guy, Manel Kopp. So I don't trust him to be safe, but I also think at the same time, Ronaldo Rodriguez, I mean, Denise Bondar is having a measure of success against him in periods of that fight early. So O'Day, he's got the tools. He could certainly get the jab popping. I mean, the performance against Charles Johnson, pretty impressive, but that nut shot that gave him a really nice break or whatever happened there, I mean, that was what O'Day Osborne's generally gassing out as it gets later into the fight. And, I think in this spot, if that's happening and Rodriguez is getting the grappling going, we could see one of those submission 2-3 late type of ideas. And I'll take Ronaldo's side. Lazy Boy City. Get me in the recliner because I think I'm going to be liking how this one goes. Guru, what do you got going?
Yeah, I mean, I've never really been a huge fan of O'Day Osborne. Somebody who, has some athleticism and size, but, I felt like he never really, has really been able to capitalize on it. Look at his wins. Vergara, Jerome Rivera, Zaruk Adeshev, and the split over Charles Johnson. Yeah, I mean, getting subbed by Almayev, I'll give you the pass. Getting subbed by Filho is a tougher one. The Nam fight is poor fight.
Filho's a bad motherfucker, bro. You saw that knee bar he had on Moikaev?
Yeah, man. He's a solid grappler. But again, so is Ronaldo Rodriguez. And
not like that, though. Rodriguez is probably like a purple belt or a blue belt. Like Filio is like a serious
I don't know.
black
belt.
I
feel like Ronaldo's scrambling is really high level. He's very aggressive and violent, and he has no real regard for like anything going on the ground and for what his opponents are going to do. Like he just kind of continues to roll through shit as you saw with the Bondar fight. So I just think that he's gonna outgrind Ode, because I just don't feel that Ode is gonna be somebody that's gonna have enough power or volume to dissuade Ronaldo from coming forward. So I took Ronaldo here at like minus 130. I think we got TB, right? And
138.
then 138. Thank you.
Yep.
And then I like Ronaldo Rodriguez by sub at like plus 320. So I don't even need to get spicy with round props. I have no problem taking a plus 320 sub here, where I absolutely think he gets a sub. So let's get it.
Dan, what do you got?
Yeah, listen, when Ode first came into the UFC, he was one of my favorite fighters from that season of Contender Series. I thought that he had a very, very bright future. He's got a lot of physical attributes. He's a finisher. He's dangerous. But man, I think that those cuts to 25 are brutal for him. You know, whether they impact his cardio or his chin, or, you know, sometimes when fights get into deep waters, he doesn't have that hustle in him. And I think that Charles Johnson fight was just the less than ideal circumstances for Charles Johnson, because if you actually put context into what happened in that fight, firstly, Charles took it on a week short notice. Secondly, for Charles Johnson to ask for an 130-pound catch weight, that tells you that he wasn't in the best shape. And this is a guy in Charles Johnson. Wasn't he like highly credentialed in like track and field or some shit back in the day? Or so, I don't want to use the word Olympic, but like I think he was he was respected. Like he was a serious runner. So a dude like that, and then like coming from Thailand, he was jet lagged. Listen, props to Ode for getting that win, but I really do think they run that matchup 10 times that Charles wins a majority of those fights. And then the last two fights, obviously to two very respectable opponents. I disagree with you saying that, implying that Lazy Boy has better grappling than Jafel Filio. I think Filio would tap Lazy Boy out, but I also think that Ode loses his concentration in fights and might get tapped out here anyways. But what I really think is going to happen is I think they're going to bang in the pocket, man. And either guy can go down in that situation, but we've seen Ode go down plenty of times. So the thing about Lazy Boy is he was on Contender Series. He fought this dude named Jerome Rivera, and actually it was one of the bigger robberies in Contender Series history. They gave it to Jerome Rivera, and it's a blessing in disguise. Lazy Boy didn't get signed then, because would he if he had gotten signed then, he would have been too green to be in the UFC. So now he's still green, but he's a lot more mature than he was before. So hopefully right place, right time, you know, catching Ode at the right time. But there's definitely something to be said for experience and UFC experience. And Ode's got that going for him. So I do respect that for sure. And I'm not a big fan of the price on Lazy Boy, but as a pure pick, I'll pick Lazy Boy.
Nice. Nice. I love it. We're moving on. We've got, make sure you guys are following us. We made it through the main card. So before we get moving on, make sure you guys did the right thing so far. If you haven't already, it's okay. It's really not okay, but we just ask that you go ahead and do the right thing here. So please like and subscribe. Costs you nothing unless somehow you want to, you know, be a supporter of the channel for no extra value, just to be nice to us. But that's up to you guys. We're moving on. Make sure you're following Mr. Dan Levy at Half the Battle on YouTube. Best fight picks on all the likes. So here we go. We've got our featured prelim. Did I click it? There it is. Irene Aldana versus the immortal Norma Dumont. And is it just, I think there's one specific part of Norma that is specifically immortal in my heart. But Irene Aldana coming into this matchup, I think the big question here is her takedown defense and what's going to happen if Norma gets pushing in the clinch here and if she gets to work in some takedowns. I think that while Aldana has been controlled and wrestled by some of the highest competitors in the division, amazing veterans like Holly Holm, where Holm hadn't quite fully lost it by that point in my mind. And a lot of that matchup was the southpaw stylings and getting Aldana to kind of dance around chasing her. I don't think Norma's quite got that kind of like footwork advantage. And I think Aldana's made some improvements in that regard. Now, her striking defense, not the best. Her striking accuracy, not the best, but Aldana's got some pop in her hands. And we've seen Dumont kind of not want to deal with the strikers. And I also know that Dumont has absolutely zero finishing potential, because if she had any at this stage, you know you're putting away Danielle Wolf in that fight. So I lost all hope I ever had for Norma finishing a fight in the UFC at that juncture. And I've seen her get hurt on multiple occasions, and not just in her debut, short notice gassing out versus Megan Anderson, but also very recently versus one Carol Hosa. And when Hosa finally decided to open up and start throwing in the third round, she lands heavy and takes that round. But she just got going a bit too late there. So the question is, I think Aldana is going to be the side for me, because I ultimately I think that the answer to the question is Aldana should get her striking better than Dumont is going to get into the clinch. And fucked up even asking the question, so I apologize. What do you got, Guru?
Finally, we have some divergence. I'm on Norma Dumont here. I think Arena Aldana smells really badly. There's just I remove the Amanda Nunes fight. Like, I don't even care. Like, you get mauled by the goat, it's fine. But she's slow as fuck, dude. She looks like she's punching on, like, in slow motion in sand. It's not good. And like you said, Dumont doesn't want to be out there striking. So I don't expect her to lose a striking battle to her. I expect her to push her against the cage. And we've already seen Ariel Aldana has a certain weakness to that. So if I can get plus money on Dumont, which I actually think has completely dried up, then I kind of missed the boat on that. Yeah, best I can get is minus 105, it looks like. So, yeah, I still like Dumont, but I have absolutely no reason to bet on this fight. It is the worst fight on the card, but yeah, let's go Dumont. I faded her with Jermaine Durandame, and I was fairly impressed with the performance beating her. I'm sure it was a boring ass fight, but the grappling gets it done. So I'd imagine she gets it done here with the grappling as well. Would be 5 in a row for her. Dan, the dissenting judge.
This is a tough one because you don't know which Irena is gonna show up, which version of her you're gonna get. Sometimes in that Holly Holm fight, again, Holly Holm is a high caliber fighter, but like, it's like you didn't even see effort from Aldana, and even that Amanda fight. Again, I know Amanda's women's GOAT, but like, you just didn't see that effort or that Mexican heart. But then you see her fight against Carl Hosa, and that's like one of the best women's fights in history. You see her one-hitter-quitter knockout over Yana Santos. Her one-hitter-quitter knockout over, was it Kellen Vieira? It was Kellen Vieira, right? Yeah, she knocked out Kellen Vieira, I'm pretty sure. And then that like weird upkick to the liver knockout against Shazan. So, I mean, like, Aldana is a hot and cold fighter, and then Dumont, she's definitely going to be at a disadvantage if she tries to go to war with Aldana here. But what I think that Dumont can do is kind of just make it like a play it safe kind of fight. Like when she fought Jermaine Durandame, like, not to strike with Durandame at all. And she didn't. And she played it very, very smart, taking her down. Aldana historically does have good takedown defense, but when she does get taken down, she has a hard time getting back up. And she has made questionable decisions in the grappling before. Like that Raquel Pennington fight. Again, I know Raquel now is a champ, but at the time it was 1-1 going that third round, and then Arena goes for like an ill-advised calf slicer. So I'm not convinced that the fight IQ or the mental on her best day they're there, but it's a question mark if you're going to get her best version. Whereas Dumont, it might not be that exciting in terms of her fighting style. I know she's fun to look at, but the actual fighting style itself might not be that exciting. But she's smart, and I think she can grind one out here.
I like it. Yeah, let's go. I feel like on Mexican Pride Night and telling the history, I can't imagine they're just going to let her sit there and do nothing.
Let me ask you something.
Yes.
Here, move that comment. Okay, let me ask you something. Is this a Modelo Noche UFC? Is this Corona Noche UFC? Or is this Riyadh season Noche UFC?
Man, it's Riyadh season.
This ain't run by Mexicans. Like,
yeah,
come on,
you're right. This is not being handled by who you think it's being handled.
Yeah,
by. It's like the weirdest co-branded event you've ever seen in the world. It's pretty great. All right, we're moving on. We've got El Loco Manuel Torres versus La Wala Ignacio Bahamondes. translates to the cage. And if you don't want to know what El Loco translates to, then you need to go get yourself figured out. So Mr. Torres here at -130. Well, wouldn't you know it? We might be the CLV kings of the show, but Manuel Torres at plus money. Guru, what were you thinking there?
I was thinking it's a very close and dangerous fight where I just felt like Manuel Torres is a fucking savage. Like, he's the actual Mexican on this card, right?
Classy, nasty.
You may think Ignacio Bahamondes is, but he's not. He's from Chile. So this is not for him. This event is not for him. So why did they make this fight? What are you laughing at?
No, that was just funny. It's like, that's not for you. You
don't. He's from Chile.
My word.
Yeah, I mean, Manuel Torres is the absolute meme lord. He's just killing people. I believe it's 14 round one finishes, right? I maybe one decision, but like it's not even listed on Tapology. So, yeah, I just think Manuel Torres is a beast. Was happy to get him at money line plus 100. At the end of the day, you probably got to take him by finish anyway, but was happy to have, CLV. Do your best you can. You get CLV enough times, you probably end up in the green. So we'll take Manuel here. But yeah, I mean, listen, after that 6 or 7 minute mark, I mean, listen, let's put it this way. Round 2 even starts. I am feeling nervous. But what I will say is just because we haven't seen something, right, doesn't mean it doesn't exist. So just because we haven't seen him into round 2, round 3, doesn't mean he has the cardio to do so. Sure, we've seen him a little breathing heavy, maybe in the Camacho fight and a couple other things, but that does, just because you're breathing heavy doesn't always mean you're tired. Maybe he just doesn't have great breathing techniques. So I'm anxious to see what that looks like. Listen, hey, when you're watching it live, you'll see if he's not schmanny by the 4th minute of round 1. You got to start maybe looking at that live Ignacio line, depending on what it might be. So I'm on Manuel here. Manuel knockout. Manuel round 1. Yeah, honestly, not even necessarily the knockout. I honestly think the sub is super duper live. So just Manuel round 1. Sounds fine. Or if you got plus money, I can dig it too. Dan?
Yeah. So both of y'all are on Torres. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes. I could provide a little bit on the back end here, but go ahead. Let me know where you're at.
So, yeah, I'm going opposite y'all. I'm going for the dog money on Ignacio Bahamondes here, man. I think that Torres is awesome to watch. I think he hits super hard. You can just tell he's a super physical guy. But Guru talked about how, look, just because he hasn't been past the first round or just because he's been finishing everyone in the first round, that's not his fault. And I 100% agree with that. However, when you watch this guy fight, he literally throws 100% into every shot, and he simply fights at a pace that's unsustainable. So I do see the round 1 finishing potential for sure, because Ignacio does get hit early in a lot of fights. He has been rocked. He has been left as a crimson mask. But man, when fights really get extended and this guy finds his range, finds his timing, like he can do some nasty stuff standing, get that jab going, get those calf kicks going, the spins, the knees, the elbows, the whole ordeal. So I think it's going to be a rough first round. And then after that, I think Ignacio is going to come out here and knock out Manuel Torres at the UFC Sphere.
Yeah, I think I understand the capping, and I understand thinking, about the pace and not being able to manage that. The things I would look for in some of these matchups is, are they going to be dealing with wrestling from their opponent or extremely high output? I think Torres, he's actually the one that I give, any wrestling edge to in this fight. So, and I think he's probably going to be the more explosive athlete. And we've seen Bahamondes kind of struggle with guys that are smaller with him and not really maintaining his distance and eating way too many strikes. And we've seen even a guy like Ludovic Klein, who, when you can push the pace against him, he also tends to gas out and have a bit of a tough time. But I think Bahamondes is actually going to be the one having to worry about the wrestling here as a second layer, where obviously Torres is going to come out like a house on fire. But as we saw in the Duncan fight, I mean, he's got equal amount of knockouts and submissions essentially in his career. He's not just a knockout artist. I mean, we've seen him, just so that I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 7 knockouts, 7 submissions, and 1 decision. 10 of them come in round 1, but I mean, what does that say for the other 4? It's not impossible here. And I think we're at least getting 2 rounds on the front end due to his aggression, due to his pace. And if he is falling off the cliff, I mean, I can't even imagine if USADA was around what they'd find in this guy. So give me some Manuel Torres. I know we got him at plus money. I know you got Bahamondes at plus money. So
I haven't bet it yet.
Okay, all right.
The line is still getting better. I want the best price possible. I mean, it was plus 100, now it's plus 110. Let's see after this juiced up Mexican weighs in. Let's see what kind of price I get on Ignacio then.
Not too shabby. See, at least you're doing it the right way. Even if we dissent, I can respect going go your own way.
Yeah, I mean, listen, as long as you're getting the best of it,
that's it.
Let the best fighter win.
I always have limited respect for a Braves fan.
Best of you. Oh my goodness. All right.
I want that wild card spot, Dan. I want it.
Can she find her Aladdin? We've got Princess Yasmin Jauregui, versus Escantadinha, Kathleen Souza. Man, that's hot-headed for the folks that want to know. It's the translation. Princess is TB nickname because it makes me think of Princess Jasmine from Aladdin. That's the best I could do here. So I think she's Yaz Jitsu also on like her Instagram, which I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It's all right. Anyways,
Princess.
Yeah, fair enough. Not going to even argue with that. But I think ultimately she's gotten past the mom bod stage of her career. You want to talk about nuclear? Just look at what's going on in the Yasmin Jauregui world. Absolutely phenomenal shape. But when we've seen her fight a big hitter before, we've seen things kind of get ugly and get ugly fast against one Denise Gomes. So I mean, I trust Yasmin. I just don't see any value in taking a minus 535 in her parlay here when, if she was going to lose, it would be by a knockout. And I think Souza at least is capable at landing and landing heavy. She's got 8 knockouts, 1 sub, and 5 decisions. So I know she's going to be bringing the heat, but at the end of the day, the pick is Yasmin. I think she's just the better fighter. She's the bigger fighter. I mean, maybe slightly. I think she's just in a lot better shape too. So while I'll take that pick, you won't find my money on it. And the over is already juiced. It could be interesting to be cute thinking about fight ending inside the distance, but I think that's where like sometimes maybe just best to like enjoy it and try to find a different angle somewhere else. Guru,
you did it. You found the
me?
second worst fight at UFC Noche. Congratulations. Yeah, there's really nothing I want to bet on this fight. Again, I would sooner lay Norma Dumont at chalk than kind of play this fucking fight. If you want any value, I mean, I think TB, you're right. I think you got to kind of bet that Jauregui finds a finish or shits the bed again, like the Denise Gomes fight. But again, I'm going to be honest with you, like 90% of the time, I just don't think that happens. I think Jauregui's a decisionator. I think she wins a decision here. Escadinha, gets kneed by Karine Silva. We can give a pass to that. But it's just a Marnik man fight that it's just like, there's just nothing good there. You're just watching 2 people that don't belong in the UFC fight. So give me Jauregui by decision. I don't even think plus money, but that's where we're going.
Who's up, me or TB?
It is all you, Mr. Dan.
I mean, listen, I don't think Ketlin's as bad as you said she is. I just think this is a bad matchup for her. Yasmin fights at a way higher pace. She's faster, more well-rounded, and just seems like she's got a brighter, ceiling. You know what I'm saying? Like when she made her UFC debut against Yasmin Lucinda, who's also a very bright prospect, the only reason that didn't win fight of the night was because David Onama versus Nate Landwehr was right after it. So, yeah, like this girl is very promising and sucks the price is where it is, but I think she's going to go out here in style on Katlyn Souza.
Yeah, I think so too. I agree.
That is definitely the most likely outcome, and I think that the books might be onto it. So, yeah, I mean, maybe you don't want to bet on this fight. So, here we go. We got Puro Chicale, Edgar Chairez versus Joshua Minivan. Puro Chicale, it's the area he's from. And it's also kind of a mix of like California / Mexican pride. That's the vibe. In case you wanted to know what his nickname meant. And Joshua Mini Van, well, that's just me. He's smaller in every matchup. So he's also 125.
But he has a nickname, though. He's the Fearless.
Yeah, I don't know. I like this better. He's also got Blessed tattooed on his chest. So I don't know, man.
So
UFC
what? What's that to
helping
do with
me out.
anything?
I don't know. I like Mini. So I went with it. I kind of messed up, though. I forgot that he has a real nickname. So I'd like to apologize.
Yeah, I had a feeling you did. It's okay.
Yeah, fair enough. Plus
Not really
195
okay,
on the Shida side and minus 238 on the Van side. Van coming off of a brutal knockout loss against Charles Johnson. Oh, did we take him at plus 200? Oh, we might have. But anywho, in the Shida's matchup, I think he doesn't quite have the same level of defense, movement, cardio that a guy like Charles Johnson had. And Shides, I'm banking on someone that doesn't wrestle in the UFC to go ahead and wrestle and take advantage of some of the weaknesses on the Van side. I don't think he's as clean technically as a striker and can put together the combinations that Van won't kind of see what's coming. It's kind of, can he land a high kick that Van doesn't expect? Can he land a big strike? Can he catch him in a triangle or a guillotine? But ultimately, I think Van is he's probably going to lose round one, as he loves to do. So you can kind of just wait, maybe find out and see if he can get closer to the, like the minus 150 range live. And that would be where I would want to place the bet. But minus 238 before the fight, and they have the over 2.5 at minus 195. The fight probably goes the distance. Shides, while he has been finished before, it's been by submission. And I will say Josh Van tends to like go for these dumb heel hooks and go for, he wants to get like a UFC sub. I just don't know if he does here. So I would definitely listen, if you want to lose a couple dollars, maybe take a cute shot on the submission, given like wiki capping and Van's tendencies.
If you want to lose money on a sub bet, just bet fight to end by sub, because Shirez is live by sub.
That's fair.
Because he has 7 submission wins. No, I know I don't, because he's got 7 submission wins in his career, and Josh Van has been submitted before.
Yeah, I just think Van's a way better striker, though.
He is.
Overall. So, I mean, while I pick him to win, he is also the way smaller guy coming off of a knockout a couple months ago on short notice, less than a week, right? I mean, there's a lot of things that tell me not to bet minus 238.
2 months ago, brutal knockout, cutting weight again.
But he's my pick.
Yeah. And short notice here against a guy much bigger than him. Has 2 inches of height and like 6 or 7 of reach. He's huge. I'm really interested to see what face-offs are and look like. But I mean, I just feel like Van will have the footwork and the output on the feet to just kind of, bother Shirez enough, because Shirez needs to kind of get to the fight to the ground, except he's never shot a takedown before. At the same time, Van has shot a takedown in almost all of his fights in the UFC, which you don't necessarily think that he would do. You don't think of him shooting takedowns when you think of Josh Van. So if he shoots a takedown here, I think it'd be really interesting, because Edgar Shirez has terrible takedown defense. But of course, as you saw versus Lacerda, he's fantastic off his back. Like, he's very aggressive. So I am really interested to see how this fight plays out, especially on short notice. I do think that the line's wide, but I can't quite get there as much as I want to on the Mexican underdog here at the Sphere. But there's a ton of red flags on Van, and I can't quite get there either. So I do lean fight going the distance, but they're on it. It's chalked up. So I don't know. I think I'd end up passing and just picking Van, but it's really, really tough. I would not be surprised to see Edgar Shirez get it done. But if you want to bet Shirez, bet him by finish. What do you think?
Sounds like you really want to bet Shirez. Well, what's stopping you?
I do. What I think is stopping me is that I just don't necessarily – I'm really concerned about his striking output. Obviously, he's had a bunch of weird fights in the UFC, including the Dana White Contender Series fight where he's getting controlled by Clayton Carpenter. That's bad. It's just – the Tatsu Taira fight, like, I actually kind of give him props for that, for surviving. And again, and then 2 Lacerda fights, which both kind of take place on the ground quickly with limited striking. So it's just, I'm just not really sure if he's going to be able to keep volume with Van on the feet And if it doesn't go to the ground or he doesn't hurt Van, then I think just Van, just kind of outpaces him and wins the fight. It's really tough. Does that make sense? Did I answer your question well?
Yeah, for sure. I'm not like, I don't really care about the whole he just got knocked out shit.
Why not?
Because
brain cells don't matter because you're young.
Because he's 22 years old.
So brain cells aren't, they still don't regenerate.
Dude, like when I was a kid, like we'd fall off the rope swing like face first and just get up like nothing happened. Or you fall off your skateboard, fucking scrapes all over your body.
You do heal faster when you're younger.
Get up and do it again. Like, dude, he's a kid. Okay, am I worried in 5 to 10 years down the line of the accumulation? Okay, sure, but talk to me in 5 to 10 years. I'm talking about this weekend at the Sphere. That's all I care about. And how many times have we seen guys get knocked out and make short turnarounds and win? Frankie Edgar got knocked out by Ortega a month later. We'll get there. A month later, goes in there in Jersey and beats Cub Swanson. Cody Durden had an incredible fight with Bruno Silva, didn't go his way, comes back in there on 4-day notice and beats the number 11 guy on planet Earth. So I'm just saying, I'm not going to count this kid out. And Durden is like 33. Josh is 22. He's just a kid. So if he gets caught, that's because Edgar Shiras hits hard and Edgar landed a good shot. I don't think that's because of what happened in the Johnson fight. That Johnson fight was an incredible fight, by the way. It was two warriors going at it, and one guy got caught. That's not a sign of, oh, this guy's chin is suspect or he's this or he's that. They fought like two true warriors, and in those instances, guys get caught. Like, it happens, that's what happens when you stand and bang with someone. The thing here is, like y'all said, the volume definitely favors Van, but Edgar Chairez, physically, he's been improving every single fight. Like, he's been looking in better shape, and he's an opportunistic finisher, but minutes will be won by a Van. And unless Chairez makes something big happen here, I think Van wins this fight.
Exactly. I think you answered your question. You asked me better than I did, but that's kind of what I meant. That is what I meant. Is that I felt like Van would be winning the minutes, and it would need a big moment from Chairez. That's way more concise.
Agreed.
All righty, we've made it. It's El Niño Problema, Raul Rosas Jr. versus Arichi Long, the Mongolian Murderer. Dan, I think it's time.
Yeah, I think it's time for Firstly, can someone tell me what the fuck Chiwiwis means?
It was his, like, it's a joke between him and his friends, like it's their like friend gang. I think he all, like, it's him and his redacted friends, and they're Chiwiwis together.
Okay, it's not like some slang word that really means something else or some shit.
No, it's their slang for each other.
Okay.
Yeah.
But nice. Listen, man,
TB, you gotta hit one.
I respect this guy, the Mongolian Murderer, man. He's been around the UFC for a while, and he's had some exciting fights along the way. But for example, we were just talking about Durden. That he was actually Durden's first win, Iori. Compare where Durden is at since that fight to where Iori is at since that fight. Durden's number 13 in the world. Iori is exactly at the same spot he was at, and that fight was like, what, 3-4 years ago now? So, I mean, I think that if Raul wants to test his stand-up, he can, but that'll give Iori a chance to win. But where I really think it's at, no, it doesn't take a genius to know this, is on the mat, specifically backpacking. So I think Raul Rosas is going to be the first man to submit Iori inside the octagon.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's terrible grappling and wrestling defense. It's been exposed. It's just he's never been fully finished. And maybe we get 15 minutes of smothering and rolling around and having a good time. But yeah, I got to take Raul Rosas probably by submission. And at minus 950, I think they might be onto it. Guru, what are you onto?
Why did you say probably have to take Raul Rosas? Are you still considering Arichi Long?
Arichi Long, the Mongolian Murderer. I think you had a good idea here, though. Potentially. What do you think?
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, I got a couple different thoughts here. I think the fight takes I think it takes a little time to unwind. So I like the over 1.5. I don't think he gets the sub super duper early. I'm definitely gonna be clenching my butt cheeks on that one. I also kind of like the round 2, round 3 submission grouping on Raul Rosas. You can get that at plus 220. So yeah, I do think that's how he gets it done. I do think he gets a finish in the sphere. No, he's the Crimson Chin. He's got to get it done. So
yeah, and look at that chin on Rosas. He's like, what was it? From Fairly Odd Parents, right? The Crimson.
I just said it. The Crimson Chin.
Yeah, I couldn't really hear you because it was like, that was the first time in a while, but you got sketchy.
We got the gist of it, though.
Yeah.
Crimson Chin. Raul Rosas,
Bigfoot.
3 plus 220.
Thank you guys so much. We made it. UFC 306 Riyadh season. Noche UFC live every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Absolutely incredible vibes. Appreciate you, Mr. Dan, for coming and joining the show. Guru for always doing his thing, because we keep the juices flowing here, man. I appreciate Dan taking on the conversation aspect of the show, because that's what it's all about. It's about asking the questions and really digging in, and it's not just like we're set in our ways. Like, we're open to new information, things we might not have considered, and that's what keeps us going, man. I think we should have some nice plays that we've already locked in. We'll add a couple props here and there, and make sure you guys are following us. But thank you so much. I really love doing this show, and just so great hanging out with all you guys in the chat and our wonderful guests every Wednesday. So Dan, before we pass this off to the Guru, what do you got going on here?
Just thank you to both of you. It's always a pleasure, gentlemen. Thank you to everybody that's in here in the chat, watching now live or watching the replay. Give these guys a like, give these guys a subscribe. I'm on Twitter at Best Fight Picks. My podcast is called Half the Battle, everywhere podcasts are found. And good luck this weekend, everybody. And Viva Mexico, cabrones.
Dan, seriously, thanks so much for your time, man. We love having you on. So anytime we can link up, we always appreciate that. Make sure you guys are checking him out. Make sure you guys follow my unbelievable co-host, TB Scouting MMA, over on Twitter, Verdict, Instagram, Tapology, BetMMA, and Pickett. And you can follow me, the Guru Scouting MMA, over on Twitter, Verdict, Instagram, Pickett, Tapology, and BetMMA. We got a week off next week. We will miss you, but we come back for UFC Paris with a very special guest, Mr. Adam Martin, first-time guest on the show. So we look forward to breaking down the fights with him. And just super, super excited. UFC Noche from the Sphere. Can't wait to see what it looks like. Best of luck, everybody. Take care. Arriba!